All right. Let's get started. Thank you everyone for taking the time to be here today. I know small business life is very, very busy, and even more so now that we're dealing with this unprecedented crisis. So thank you everyone for joining, and a special thank you to our panelists that I'm going to introduce in a second. Today is our Q&A session where we're talking about pivoting. We hear so much about it. And the thing is that while we know that in concept, that you can change your business from A to B, this is an opportunity to check in with your fellow small business owners and ask all of those questions you may have about the specifics. How did it go? What were the challenges? What was something you wish someone had told you when you had started on pivoting? So we're very excited to have you all here. In case we have someone that is not familiar with PCV yet, we're a nonprofit. We've been around for 20 years, and we envision a world of thriving communities where everyone has a fair shake. That's our mission. We want to invest in small businesses, create good jobs, help create good jobs for people, and make markets work for social good. So that's why we're here. We do that. We approach that mission from three different angles. Through our affordable lending program that's focused in California. We're a CDFI, a nonprofit lender. Through our businessadvising.org program, which is our national program where we offer free mentorship and skilled volunteering. So we match you with advisors that can help you with any business challenge from getting ready to access capital to customer acquisition, HR, strategic planning, and so on. And finally, we have a social impact measurement and management, research and consulting arm that put together some wonderful toolkits, like, for example, our Good Jobs, Good Business toolkit that we will talk a little bit on the resource side of things. So about today, we're going to have, like I said, a Q&A session. We have three amazing entrepreneurs, and I'm going to have a couple of questions, but this is an opportunity for you all to ask your questions. So we have our chat window at the bottom. So if you hover at the bottom of your screen, you'll see the chat. Just send your questions over there, and then we'll take it from there. And at the end, we're going to also have a couple of resources with you that may come in handy now that we're dealing with this crisis. So some COVID resilience resources. So without further ado, I am so excited to introduce you to our panelists. We have Cindy Kate. She's the founder of Hello Birdie Nail and Lash Lab. I'm going to let them tell you more about their businesses and their pivots. I don't want to do any spoilers. She's based out of San Diego, and we're so excited to have her here today with us. Hi, Cindy.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course. Chadwick Charles, we're working on getting his video on. Bear with us. He's the president and CEO of Chattel Public Relations and Events. As you can imagine, events is one of the hardest hit industries or sectors, so we're very excited to have him on board as well. He's connecting from Washington, D.C. And finally, we have Jennifer Diana. She's founder of JLD Studios, textile design and lighting manufacturing. She's joining from Portland, Oregon. Sorry, I had to check my cheat sheet. Didn't want to get that wrong. But Jennifer, we're so excited to have you. Thank you so much for taking the time too. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can just focus on your beautiful faces. All right, stop sharing. There we go. And I'm going to, perfect, go into speaker view. All right, I know that my team is working with Chadwick on getting his video on. Chadwick's saying, to my team, Chadwick's having some audio problems, so if you could check in with him and maybe suggest that if he can also log in, call in from the phone with the phone number. So please, if to my team, Morgan, if you guys can call him in so we can have him on board. There's a couple of options for joining. I know you have this, so I'm probably preaching to the choir here. We're probably taking care of it. So let's get started with our introductory questions while we get Chadwick on. So I'd love for us to go through, and I want to each one of you to please share a little bit more about you, your business, and a little bit of an intro on how you have you pivoted so far. We're going to talk about that more in depth, but first, high level, your business, and how this crisis has affected you. Let's start with Cindy.
Okay. Hi, my name is Cindy, and I own Hello Birdie Nail and Lash Lab. As you can imagine, we have had to close, as along with everyone else, but being a contact type of service, we have definitely had to shift. We are nail art and lash extension salon, and we kind of cater to that really unique, friendly, clean, high-end experience. So that's us in a nutshell. We had always kind of explored the option of diversifying by creating a branded product. And so this closure really just allowed me the time to kind of push forward on that focus. And so I'd say that's been the main thing, along with necessity. Being a service-based business and zero revenue the moment we closed our doors, it made me realize that we had to think fast and shift to e-commerce. So we have an inventory of products that clients would pick up on their way out when they're here for services, but we now have that whole inventory available online, and our new branded product is in production, and that'll soon be available too.
Nice. That is so exciting. Can we hear more? Congratulations, Cindy.
Thank you.
And then we have Jennifer. We'd love to hear from you.
Hello, good morning from Portland. We
Yeah.
are primarily a manufacturing company. We got our start on the design side of things about 5 years ago. We decided to move from design to manufacturing. Throughout that, we learned a lot about what our capabilities were and where our core strengths were as a business. And about 3 years ago, we went from just general manufacturing to leggings. So over the last 3 years, we've been doing the design, printing, cut, sew of leggings, all here in our Portland factory. So when this came about, leggings obviously weren't what everyone was looking for. And a lot of our fellow factories stopped everything and started making masks. But we were a little timid in doing that because we just didn't know how we were going to sell them. We don't sell direct to consumer right now. Everyone we work with is, they have their own websites. So we're selling to them and then they're selling to consumer. So we didn't want to just stand up an e-commerce platform with no history of doing that before. After a couple weeks of research, learning what different kinds of masks were out there, and with the CDC guidelines changing to allow more of a fabric mask, we were able to partner with some people that were making masks that did fit within the capabilities of our sewing team. So that's what we're doing now. We're producing about 1,000 masks a week.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. So I think that's a good segue to my next question. And I know that when you're talking about pivoting, you touch upon this, there's different parts of it. It's not just going from offering one product to the other. There's different ways that you're going to be selling, your supply chain changes, your operations change, and also maybe the way that you're working with your employees. So can you tell us a little bit about, can you spend a little bit of what were the different types of changes that you had to embark on in order to facilitate this pivot? So Jennifer, if you can get us started with that. I know you touch upon it, but you can go a little bit deeper about, you had to, it started with shifting the product, but what were some of the other changes that you had to make?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. It seems like my connection's a little unstable this morning.
No worries.
So I would say, the biggest change for us was in the volume and the size of the items that we really had to handle. So we had to consider things like keeping everything clean, not just for the employees. Like obviously we need a cleaner work environment. Everyone's 6 feet apart. They're wearing masks. Their tools are being cleaned daily. But aside from that, we're working with materials people are going to put on their face. So we want to be much more conscientious of how we're handling those materials throughout the day, how we're storing them and utilizing them. So we had to take that consideration, and then in the way that we are processing the materials, it's because it's a smaller item, it's sewn faster. So we're just pushing through everything so much faster. So the inspection at the end of it, which would normally be 100 garments, now we're doing 1,000 garments.
Wow.
It's, we're not selling them for the same price. It's not any of that, but just the amount of time it takes to look at 1,000 pieces before we ship them is completely different than the time it takes to look at 100 pieces before we ship them.
Absolutely. So Cindy, what were some of the types of changes that you weren't initially expecting that you had to take into account?
Gosh, well, our shift was so dramatic because we went from one focus of services to a completely different focus, which is products. So I'd say for me, a big challenge and things that I had to consider was researching which platform would work best for me, the e-commerce platform. There's a lot out there, and I had to really look at which one would be best for what we want to do and where we want to put our focus and have our products available. So we can just maximize some of our already built engagement on some of our social media platforms that were very kind of developed well over the last 5 years. So I would say for me, just doing that research to understand which product was the right one for us to work with, and then quite honestly, teaching myself. I don't have experience or background in that, but for a few weeks there, I was a one-woman show, so I had to hunker down and figure out how to create that website on my own. So I'd say that was a big shift for me. And then fortunately, as a recipient of the PPP loan, I was able to then bring employees back and have help with putting inventory up, creating copy for the website, images as needed, and all that stuff. So now I have that support to kind of push and put that real focus on the marketing, but everything just tying back to the new platform and the new focus, which is products. And obviously this is something that will support and circle back to services when we have the opportunity to reopen. But
because before you were delivering in-house services, and now you're shipping products, so it's a completely different shift. So how are you doing the deliveries and the shipping of the products?
The shipping, so we just ship out. We purchase. I'm sure Jennifer can speak to this. We just found all of our packaging materials and figured out how to do it all. And quite honestly, the platform that I chose to go with is Shopify, and it really is easy. It's very easy for anyone to set up and learn on their own without experience, and just kind of plug in and stuff.
Fantastic. I'm just so excited. We're welcoming Chadwick. I want to do like a This in the Air celebration. I'm so excited that it worked finally.
Oh, I know. I literally want to pull my hair out.
Well, welcome, Chadwick. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you. Give me a second.
Before we jump back into talking about shipping and all those shifts, I would love for Chadwick to have the opportunity to introduce himself and his business and maybe a little bit of his pivot intro.
Sure. So my business, it's Chattel Public Relations and Events, LLC, and our trade subsidiaries or lifestyle brand. So let's just stay with the service side. So we do custom conventions and trade shows for private corporations and government too. We saw that there was a need to have more messaging in conventions, in trade shows and special events. As a minority business, even before my business, I would go to different workshops and conventions and stuff like that. And, you know, what was more present was just a food table, no chairs, and just people walking around with no sense of direction or stuff like that. So we decided that we wanted to come up with the full messaging. So what we do is we consult with the government agency or the private corporation, and we actually try to find out exactly what are the three top things that you want the public to know. One of the things that I have done research for is a lot of people doesn't even know what government agency does. So we saw that there was a great opportunity there for government agency to be more transparent and showcase, you know, their offerings in trade shows or what promotional factor that they want to do. We also wanted to help our clients reduce costs and risks at conventions and trade shows. So what we do at our initial consultation is that we find out exactly what three areas you want to showcase to the public, and then we do blueprints, ideas of exactly what that marketing message or convention may look like, and then we give you a 3D image once a commitment is made. So you don't have to wait until like halfway into, you know, the consultations to have the 3D image. We want our clients to be engaged from the beginning all the way to the end. Currently, we're working with developers to do software, meeting software, whereby the client will be able to do any changes deemed necessary. We want the client to be able, we know clients are very busy, so we want them to be able to make these changes from the comforts of their own office. You can just send us a little message and said, I need meeting room 1 to be changed from a U shape to rectangular, and then we'll just approve that. And then of course we'll send you an update on that. As it gets closer to the convention, and you can make changes all the way until the convention, of course there will be a different price point. Pivoting, so Shadow has been in existence for 5 years. In 2007, our businesses were registered in DC in 2015. And 2017, I always wanted to get into the e-commerce online business. Didn't know how I would have gotten started or not. So I asked around and stuff like that. How do you register a business for e-commerce and stuff like that? And I was advised that you can have many subsidiaries underneath your parent organization. So I went to the CRA and I said, I don't know what I'm going to do with the trade that I'm going to register, but I'll register it. So we did register Old Lifestyle brand in 2017. We do business in 17 states, and so state of Florida actually was a surprise. They actually approved us to buy products from us, even if we hadn't even had a website as yet. But they said they liked the concept of what we were, you know, looking at doing. We wanted to do, we wanted to have an e-commerce site, not the traditional promotional thing, but our firm, since we're doing event planning, we wanted to make sure that we have our hands in doing all our marketing and to make sure our customers have the one point contact. And so it sat there for a while, and then last year, a colleague of mine said, have you ever heard about the ASI Institute? The Advertising Specialty Institute is a $3 billion business, and this is I had no idea that this ever existed. So this is where all promotional companies and marketing companies, that's where they have their membership. This organization they bring suppliers and distributors and manufacturers together in a safe place. And so I was given information at ASI, and they said, actually, if you do plan to launch your e-commerce site, ASI can actually partner up with you and help you launch that. So I took that information and I contact ASI and they said, well, do you have contracts? And I said, well, we actually have two huge contracts with the DC government, and one of the contracts is in advertising, which is a large spend. And so we were able to cut short the processing time of 6 months, and they said, well, actually approve you in a week. So that's how Old Lifestyle brand came about. So that actually was done in January of 2020.
Oh,
So we
quite
had
recently.
no idea. Well, of course,
Yeah.
I am led by God, so I know you can't tell what the future holds. But
Yeah.
what I had to share is that in business, you don't always have the answers. And I think having different small businesses around, I tell my colleagues all the time, we're there to bounce off of each other, to collaborate,
Yeah.
share
Yeah.
information and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
I can't say enough that that has been a very, very important factor for our business growing and actually and getting contracts and stuff like that. So
Great.
actually, so Old Lifestyle brand was launched in January, and so I kind of tailored it to kind of match our convention. So what I wanted to do is that make sure I made mention of made in USA products.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're expanding on made in DC because I'm from DC. And we can do other cities also. But I think a personalized touch says a lot.
Yeah.
So once COVID-19 came around, of course, I started to reach out to my suppliers and stuff like that and said, well, what are we doing for COVID-19? Because majority of our products is either branded or not branded at all. And so having an organization as ASI behind you, we were able to have manufacturers come on and just start making medical supplies and stuff like that. So you asked me if I knew that my e-commerce site would have been launched and it would have become the survival part of our business, because our service side, because we have to do public events and stuff like that, all of that has been placed on a hold.
That is exact. Yeah.
We've been able to, we pivoted to the e-commerce side. Of course, we only have 2 full-time employees, and we have 10 part-time partners, 1099 partners. So my challenge is right now is that we were getting a lot of hits for the e-commerce site. So I have to be the customer service rep. I have to solve customer issues. But it's a great experience in that sense. So that's where we're at right now. And then one more thing. And so I want to mention, so the other part is that I was introduced to XM Export US Bank. I don't know if you've ever heard about.
Yeah. Export US Bank?
So it's a part of the government that actually helps small business expand their businesses to international buyers. So they serve as the middleman in connecting you to international buyers, and they have rolled out a program last year that they wanted to connect with minority businesses or small businesses to help them expand, their services and also products also. So I having minority certification, I was able to have a meeting with one of the heads at XM Bank, and what they do offer is a credit insurance policy, so that you can offer new clients, international clients, like a credit term, say like 30 days. And for some reason, if the buyer does not pay you on that 30 days, they're there as the cushion to pay you that money. Cash is king. And then they will go after the buyer to recoup that money. So
That's fantastic.
I will send the flyer so that you guys can share it, because I think it's a great
Absolutely.
other avenues and other source of revenue.
Yeah.
Because with the trade, with the trade policy, U.S. trade policy, international trade policies, international buyers have to buy a certain amount of products in a year and stuff like that. So it's a great avenue to do also.
That's fantastic. If you don't mind, like you said, sharing the link with us, we'll make sure we share with all of our participants and our community of small business owners,
Absolutely.
which is, I think, a great segue for our next question. I'd love to hear, we were talking about fulfillment now that, you know, we're pivoting to e-commerce on all three sides. And I'd love to hear about what were some key resources that made this transition easier for you. I would love for all of us to share a couple, and afterwards we can share the links with one another. But I'd love to start with Jennifer first. What were some tools that came in handy? I know we said Shopify. What were some other ones? It was, in this case, was Shopify, but I'd love to start with you, Jennifer. And you're on mute.
There we go. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so some tools. I did notice someone asked in the chat if any of us had received the PPP loan. We were able to get that about a week and a half ago, and that was a huge help for our business. Right when we had found one of the clients that we're working with now for masks, the PPP loan had come out. And so we applied, and we were, of course, when the first round came out, everyone was excited and we all thought we'd get it quickly. So we hired back on pretty quickly with the hopes of getting that. So that resource is invaluable to us. We've also just been really trying to reach out to other people in our community, to even our neighbors in our business complex. We have partnered with one of them. They were in the tourist industry, so their business obviously isn't doing well. They were able to pivot to make masks, so we're fulfilling, to sell masks. So we're fulfilling their orders, and they're changing over their business into the masks. Another one of our neighbors is in manufacturing that wears masks, and they come over like once a week. Oh, can I get a couple more? And I told my friend, can I get a couple more? And even those small sales, they kind of boost your spirit a little bit when you're trying to get through all of this. So I think talking to our neighbors and the people that are going through this right alongside us can do a lot. And you never know where a really great opportunity or an idea, what's going to inspire you.
Absolutely. Cindy, what are some tools you've been using?
Yeah, just to piggyback on what Jennifer said, I can't agree with you more. Having fellow business owners in the North Park community, which is the area in San Diego where we are, has been just amazing. We have a really strong support system as small businesses through North Park Main Street. They're a program that advocates and helps with all of us to, in this particular situation, adapt and just survive. But even during this pandemic, they're just always there for us to give us that support. But besides that, just local businesses, we have kind of really worked together and kind of used our audiences together with different marketing efforts, whether it be Instagram giveaways or that type of thing. So I'd say really the resources are just relying on fellow business owners. That has been the most valuable for us. And of course, North Park Main Street, I can't thank them enough for all their support. Oh, yeah.
Can you all share a little bit more about your application to the PPP? I know that now that we have the second round, fortunately, the size of each loan deployed has decreased significantly, which means that more and more smaller businesses are having access to it. So I think people can still apply. So can you share a little bit about your experience and maybe some tips about going through that process?
Sure. Yeah. So for me, I was fortunate to apply and get it in the first round. I felt just so appreciative of that. I would say my biggest advice to anybody is when you're applying for any type of funding or program that you immediately respond. The moment you apply, if you don't miss a phone call, answer all phone calls, reply immediately, just providing all the information that you can, and be thorough, be prepared, because you want to just fight for it and make sure that you're included in that. I think that that's the most important thing. Just know that that's your priority at this particular time. You have to take advantage of the wonderful programs that are available to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to add on to that. Throughout this, my father also has a small business, and he was getting those phone calls and emails. We were lucky that we were able to upload all the information on the first go round for our loan, so we didn't have to answer any calls. But he had gotten a phone call and completely missed it. And, it was a week later before he was able to get all the information and follow up. So luckily he's gotten his loan now, but it's that, answer the phone, answer the emails, and it's going to help with business as well to make sure you're doing those things.
Yes.
For us, it was a little different because I didn't fully understand, what it was before. And so since I started the business 5 years ago, I never took a salary. We had forecast, I just brought on HR, and so I was starting salary in May. Well, we're in May right now. So, of course, we won't qualify because we didn't have employees. And then so we have forecast that we're on 5 other employees. So at first, I did not understand because I was getting mixed messages. And so my accountant finally told me, well, you won't qualify because you have to have employees in bulk and stuff like that. So we didn't qualify for that. So we are very much in tune with our community and stuff like that. So we tend to, we reach out to the smaller organizations that were offering grants and stuff like that. Because honestly, with the e-commerce side, I didn't forecast putting myself in debt. I'm speaking about the EDIL loan also, because we do have products that are in demand right now, and so we do have a full network of buyers that have been reaching out to us and stuff like that. So I kind of sense that we had gotten 1 micro loan, and we gotten 2 micro loans, and little by little, as Jennifer was saying, I'm very much appreciated that we got those loans, because even if it was like a box or 2 boxes of mass, I see it as having a new customer, and you deliver excellent customer service, and then that customer will come back to you or even pass it on once we blow over this.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a question from our audience saying, do you offer gift certificates, and how do you let people know where to buy them? How do you spread the word about them? So anyone offering gift certificates?
We are, because we sell to the consumer, and if you're in San Diego, we have gift certificates for services. You can get that on our website. We actually have 2 websites currently, but they both link to each other. One is the service side of our business, which is what we've built our business on. It's hellobirdylab.com, and the other is shophellobirdie.com. So you can kind of, either one of those will take you to one to the other. We haven't integrated gift cards yet to the e-commerce side because it's just brand new and we've just launched it, but we'll be doing that very shortly.
In your case, the functionality of gift cards comes built in from Shopify, right?
It does, but I actually haven't integrated that just yet. I'm going to be looking into that very soon. And we actually, after just getting that first website up, we're going to be relaunching a new version, hopefully by end of day today, but definitely going to incorporate some more of that versus our service website where there's gift cards for there already set up, but that's for in salon, our brick and mortar.
Yeah.
If I may just.
Yes, please.
So we haven't issued gift cards as yet, but we do have the capability of doing that. One thing that we started doing was we have our little catalogs that we're handing out to local business. And so being in the ASI family, we have the opportunity of giving discounts. We can create any tailored stuff, to help our customers out. So thank you for that insight. It's
Yeah.
we can look in.
We also have another question, Saif. Are you selling on multiple platforms like eBay, Etsy, Mercari? Anyone selling?
So one thing that's been super beneficial with the choice to go through Shopify, and part of the reason why I decided to go through that platform, is that they offer multiple sales channels, and that has been really wonderful. So we obviously have our website. Sorry, there's a car alarm going off in the background. We obviously have our website, but we've been able to open up our Facebook shop, and that's the next step into our Instagram, where we have a good source of client engagement already. So we do sell on those multiple channels currently. We'll definitely consider others as well. And of course, obviously our brick and mortar, which isn't open at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I would love to add to that, a huge piece of advice for everyone is to leverage your existing pool of customers and community in general. Now there's so many tools to allow you to leverage your online presence to increase your marketing in general. So for example, I know you can do ads on Facebook where you select who you want to see those ads, and you can say people who have liked my page or have liked pages similar to mine, and so on. So one piece of advice regarding digital marketing, I know it may seem sometimes overwhelming because there's so many tools and they keep changing. But one thing that we would love to invite you to do is go into businessadvising.org and just request an advisor. We have a lot of advisors that have experience with digital marketing, and as you know, it's all free advice. We're a nonprofit, so we'll pair you with a volunteer that maybe can help you set those up. So 2 things: leverage your existing community. Second, leverage your business advising community. We're here to help. All right. So we'd like to talk a little bit also about challenges. What were some challenges that you faced during this transition and these pivots, and how did you overcome them? Maybe can we start with Jennifer? Sorry. I just feel like because you didn't talk in the last one. Sorry.
So for challenges that we've experienced, so hiring is always a big challenge, I'm sure, for everyone with a small business. We were lucky, most of our employees wanted to come back to work. We do have one that is in the group that they recommend staying home, so she is not coming to the office yet. But we got creative. It took me a couple extra weeks, but we found an assembly project that was part of one of our clients' needs. And so I drive out to her house once or twice a week and drop off materials and pick them back up. And our latest challenge, we cut everything, all of our cutting, we had 2 people doing it to try and make sure that we were keeping it covered. And in 24 hours, they both quit. So that and that's the first step. Cutting the materials is the first step in everything. And I went from 2 people doing it to none in that small.
Wow.
But we've gotten on Indeed and got a new listing out there, and actually gotten some pretty good traction. So I would say if you need help and you're concerned about hiring right now, get the listing out there. There's people that do want to work. You want those people on your team, because if they're out there right now looking for work, they're eager to come in and do something. And we just did Zoom meetings to introduce ourselves. And I already it's been just over a week since those people quit. And I have someone who's going to do an in-person interview next week, and I'm hoping we'll be able to hire.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Who would like to go next? Talk about challenges. Chadwick.
We ran into suppliers not delivering the goods that were ordered. Because some of our supplies, supplies come from China. I had 3 customers that wasn't angry, but notified us that they, received a different type of product, and that wasn't the product that they ordered, and so simply jumping on my feet, because we have 3,000 supplies that we can source from, I reached out to a different supplier and make sure that that I was able to fulfill that client's order with the correct product. Also, I also pick up the phone and made a courtesy call, letting them know that we do apologize for the mix-up of the order and explain to them actually our supply chain distributor channel. So ended up talking to the 3 customers, and they were like, "That's so nice that you picked up the phone and called." And it just so happened that 2 of the new customers actually was tested positive for COVID. And it was so comforting for them at that point in time because they had ordered a large shipment of masks. And so it was so comforting to them to say, somebody from outside of their house to actually call and wish them good health and stuff like that. So that was major challenging, since as we just are new into the e-commerce space, is not having the right goods being delivered to the client. Of course, it's something that as we grow, we'll have more talent to handle different aspects of the order and stuff like that. So this is totally a learning curve for me. But still, I'm just one person, but I just realized that just by simply speaking the truth and following up with the customer and making them feel that they're actually valuable, and we do thank them for the business. And so we did also lost revenue in that process too, but I wasn't even thinking about that because I just wanted the client to be happy. And so in the end run, we did have those challenges, but the customers, and they sent me an email saying the service that I provided to them was just exceptional, and that made my day actually.
Good. Yeah, there's no substitute for a human touch. You, Cindy.
Yeah. Sorry, I just want to say I can't agree with that more. I feel like the way you interact with clients and the way you treat your clients as well as your employees, that speaks to your brand. That says what you stand for. The integrity, to me, that's a huge piece. So I just wanted to agree with you on that. I think that's so important. It's more important than revenue. And one thing that you don't think of sometimes when you really do need that revenue is people get distracted and they prioritize that. But what they don't realize is when you really care for people in your business and your clientele, that does come back in revenue. It might not be that particular instance, but that's what creates lifers. Yeah. They support you. They stand behind you because they believe in what you do. So I just can't agree with you more. I wanted to say that's wonderful to hear you say that. But I think for me, challenges, kind of the same thing. I'm fortunate to have an amazing team here at Hello Birdie. We have just about 20 employees, sometimes a little less. It just depends upon the time of year and situations. But having to close our doors, we had no other option with that immediate shutdown in revenue. We had to let everyone go. So again, just receiving that PPP loan and being able to bring team members back on, the difference between 100% just on my own doing everything to beginning to bring in those key players to be able to manage them and have them support and be a part of that bigger picture, that's been amazing. But, kind of letting everyone know that the roles and what we're doing now is completely shifted, and the fact that they were fluid enough and willing to adapt with me has been just so wonderful, and learning. I'd say that's the biggest challenge is not knowing what you're doing, but knowing, well, I'm going to figure it out. And so sure enough, just keeping with it and yeah, just being fluid and adapting. I think that's the biggest challenge, but I don't know. Did I answer that? Was that the question?
Yeah, I think challenges always come together with learnings. So
Yeah.
absolutely. And I want to piggyback on what you said. You are so right that treating your customers and also treating your employees right is not just only the right thing to do, but it's also the right thing to do for your business.
Mm-hmm.
Where our whole research around good job, good business is built upon. Our research and consulting team went on this research journey and saying, what makes up a quality job and how is it tied to business results? So they came up with this toolkit that makes the case of, first, breaks down what are the different dimensions of quality jobs, because there is living wages, but there's also building an engagement and working environment and offering professional development opportunities. And so they set on this work to break that down and make it very easy to understand and very easy to track and to keep track of. And then they build this framework for small businesses to get started and also learn how each dimension contributes to your bottom line. So we will also share with you the link to our toolkit. It's and our website. We've made it into an interactive website where you can learn how can I even start as a small business? Because we feel like quality jobs can be overwhelming and be something that only big companies can afford to build upon. But in the reality, there's many tangible steps you can take as a small business that are very easy and that, well, not very, I don't want to undermine the complexity of it, not necessarily very easy, but doable and attainable, and that ultimately will contribute to your bottom line as well. So we will share the link with you all to our website where you have the toolkit available for you always for free, like all of our resources. So great point about treating your employees right, and you're building your brand around that too. I have another question from the audience. What plan do you have for when PPP money ends? And I think I would love to complement this question. Another question we had was, what are your plans for the future? What's next? I know this is maybe a scary question, and a scary thing to think about, but I know we'll all take it one day at a time. But what are some of the ideas that you have, or ideas or plans that you have in mind so far? I'll leave it to any. Who wants to start?
Well, you said it right, Natalie. We just got to take it one day at a time. But of course, as a small business, you do have forecast plans. And I say that because we have 2 huge contracts with the DC government on the service side. We're not going to be quarantined forever. And so our e-commerce side has allowed us to pivot and learn a different channel of this business. But like I said, we just brought on Insperity as our HR department. You mentioned learning before, because as a small business owner, I want to make sure I have the right competence as we're scaling. And I learned that you can't do everything yourself. Sometimes outsourcing is the best way possibly. So we are scheduled to bring on 5 or more employees. That's what we signed with Insperity. Like I said, we had planned to onboard by June. But I forecast that we can at least bring on 3 new talent, because we have the with the U.S. Import-Export program, they offer working lines of credit and also capitals to buy, products and stuff like that from your suppliers and stuff like that. So they have a vast different subsidiaries under that program to really help small business. And even with the COVID-19, they've come out and they've made their loan application even much more easier, so that you can have that working capital, that you can pay your supplies up front, and then, so you can have all of that. So I don't see us, although we didn't get the PP loan, we're still forging ahead, because I like what you said early on, in the sense that since we're growing, this business is my baby. And so I want to make sure I attract the talent that feel as enthusiastic and happy as me to learn as I go each and every day. There have been many challenges, but it was, I normally say the challenges was just a stepping stone towards me sitting here right now, and moving forward to the future. So we also are looking at teaming with other small business too. I think this is a great avenue where small business should start to reach out to each other and find out exactly if we can team together. Splitting the work, spreading whatever is available right now can help out each small business, or whatever little that can be done. And I do want to say also that exploring to the minority certification programs and these nonprofit organizations and stuff like that, that constantly sending us everyday resources, I will also recommend that also.
Excellent. Thank you.
For me, our biggest shift and plan for growth is that branded product. So that's a big shift in focus for us. And I would say that actually supports the urgency for us to move forward on that, create a platform where we could get it to people when they're not in the place that they can get out and about. Obviously, e-commerce, having a website has a further reach than just one physical brick and mortar. So I think that all kind of ties into it. The reason why we're pushing so hard to make this a success now is so that when we do run out of that money, and we don't know when we're going to be able to reopen and get back to our old way of business, and even when we do, it's not going to be the same business. We are already talking about next week, we're going to go through and adjust our floor plan so that we can maintain the right social distancing. And so it's not going to be the same type of business that we're running. So the future and the bridge that'll kind of support us is the e-commerce piece for us. And that'll kind of help us until we can, if ever, get back to the same volume in our physical location. And if not, then that's going to help supplement that revenue that we're losing there. So,
yeah. So the pivot, it will eventually turn not just in a pivot, but maybe in a complement to your original business.
Very much, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Jennifer.
Jennifer.
Yeah, I'm going to try and jump in. My internet keeps going out here a little bit. So for us,
Oh no, you froze. Oh no. I think, I'm sure Jennifer will bounce right back. In the meantime, I'd love for you guys to start thinking of our last question, which is what is some piece of advice that you may have gotten, or anything that you have learned that you wish you had known before you started on this pivoting journey that you like to share with other small business owners?
So for me, I don't typically spend time thinking about that phrase, I wish I would have known, because that's come and gone. So I think for me, and just saying that's just something that I do, because I have this situation and I just look at what I have to work with and just make the best out of that. And sometimes, as much as we would never have wished certain situations upon ourselves or anyone, you realize that there's actually opportunity to grow in a way that you could have never even thought of. And so I think my advice to anyone would be to know what your passion is, what your drive is, your why. Because for me, I know that what matters most is I'm a single mom, so providing something, a future, creating a future for my children is very important to me, but I also love each one of my employees as if they're my family. And I have an obligation to them to have a place to come back to and jobs to provide. And I know they're happy to be here, and I know when we're together, it's amazing. So I think that's the main thing, is find out what it is that pushes you, so that the option of failing or not performing right now when it counts is even a consideration. You just go. It's go time for business owners right now.
Yeah.
The way we come out of this is going to set us up for our future. So I think that's my advice.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Jennifer, we have shifted to pieces of advice that we can share with other small business owners.
Okay, great. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what's going on this morning. I would say pace yourself. Once you've taken the time to do the research and find what's right for your business, you have to jump and go quick, but then give it that moment to breathe. Just like all of our governors are saying, we're going to open in phases. Think about your pivot in phases. When we switched to masks, I brought back one sewer, one person for 3 days. Me and her were our entire production team. But we took that time to figure it out, smooth out the kinks, and then the next week, I staggered the start date of everybody so that people could get trained and they could help me train the next person in the new procedure. So really taking the time to make quick decisions and then switch when needed.
Awesome. Chadwick, how about you?
I just want to go after what Cindy said. There's no right and wrong about having an idea, and at that point in time, you really sometimes doesn't really know where you're going to take it, but it's your idea. And a while back, I heard this pivoting and pivoting and pivoting, but because we do custom conventions, sometimes doing a pitch, so it had become a little convoluted. And so, the advice that I was getting was like, well, people are not going to know what you're doing and stuff like that. You have to make sure that your pivot comes off with whatever stuff like that. And so over the years, listening to that, I've managed to tailor it down so people actually can get a sense of what the company is. And what our company is actually, it's not just service. I love doing what I'm doing, and I think that we have this e-commerce site because we want to do that added value to our clients. It's not, honestly, it's not monetary for me. Of course, we get paid for our services, but you feel so great when you invent something new or offer something new or stuff like that, or getting to a new market. For me, it's just a learning curve. So I will say you have something, business will change after here, but just pace yourself. We are going to come back, and I strongly believe, and reach out to other small business also. If there's something that you that you probably want answers to, there's a lot of small business out there who are sharing information and stuff like that, which I think it should be every day. But those are some of the points I will say. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Chadwick. Thank you so much, everyone. We're out of time, so I wanted to really quickly address something that one of our participants said, and one of the advisors, and I encourage everyone to take advantage of PCV and businessadvising.org. Have the courage to think of novel ways to get through this, but know that you are not alone. So I want to remind that you're not alone. We're all here for you. Also, one of our participants said, kudos to all three entrepreneurs. You're amazing and inspiring. So,
Natalie.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank PCV so much. I'm very grateful for you guys being here, showing up and stuff like that. It means a lot to the mentorship, to the organization.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Our mission is literally to support you so you can continue growing. I love, before we jump off, I know we're out of time, but I'm going to share my screen one more time to show you just a few resources right here. Let me present super quickly. We're going to be sending this to everyone, but don't forget that we have a Facebook support group for you. Just come in and share your learnings or just vent with fellow small business owners. We have recordings to previous webinars. Take advantage of those. We have a resource guide for small business resilience among the crisis. And so we're going to send all of this, but one of the biggest ones that I keep saying, rely on your PCV advisor. If you don't have one already, sign up, or if you want to be rematched, our whole team is here. Rely also on your dedicated team of experienced managers. Daniel, Peter, and Danielle are here for you. Reach out. Ask for your next mentor. If you need an additional, if you need to be rematched, we're here for you. And if you have any ideas or anything you want to share with us, here's mine and Morgan's, the program managers, emails. Make sure to reach out. We're all here for you. And we want to thank you for everything that you're doing for your business, for your employees, and for your community. I know that together we will come out of this stronger, and as long as we just stick together. So thank you so much to our panelists for being here. Thank you so much for everyone who participated, and thank you also for my team that organized this whole webinar. So thank you all around, and stay safe, everyone. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good one. This is the end. Stay connected. I'll see you guys on our support group. Bye.
Bye.